How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and the 2020 trade deadline has recently passed, and today, let's talk about the winners and the losers. To be honest, the trade deadline this year hasn't been too exciting. As the deadline came, I don't think there were that many impactful trades, but we'll still talk about them. In this video, I will talk about which teams came out better than others and which ones did not do well. Without further ado, let's begin. The Memphis Grizzlies, winner. The main story surrounding the Grizzlies near the deadline was, what on earth are they gonna do with Andre Iguodala? Cause Iggy was essentially stuck in Memphis. He did not want to report to the team, but the team did not want to buy out his massive contract, and instead wanted to get some assets in return. That's exactly what they did, so it's a success. The Grizzlies got back Justice Winslow, who's been suffering through injuries, but he was the guy they wanted. At least they got something in return. The Grizzlies had to give up Jay Crowder as well, and recently he's been absolutely awful, so it should not be a huge loss. Additionally, the Grizzlies picked up Jordan Bell in exchange for Bruno Caboclo via the Rockets in a 3-team deal, along with a second-round pick swap. Bruno's been injured for a while, Bell has not gotten too many minutes in Minnesota, but in Memphis, he might fit in better with the Grizzlies' culture. So here is his new chance. At the other end of the spectrum, I'd say the Miami Heat also won this trade. Over the last few years, Winslow has been a promising prospect, but recently with the injuries and having a hard time coming back, Miami needed somebody who can play right now. It looks like Pat Riley is going all in on the squad, as he sees a real chance to win the championship. The Houston Rockets, loser. Nobody knows what the Rockets are doing. Well, I mean, we kinda know. We know that their owner is trying to cut costs and they want to avoid paying a hefty luxury tax. That's really why any of their moves happened. They gave up Clint Capella and Nene. Now, their centers are Isaiah Hartenstein and a 37-year-old Tyson Chandler. And of course, the massively undersized PJ Tucker. Capella was having a great season, not as good as last year, but he was still the go-to pick-and-roll partner for Harden and Westbrook. In return, the Rockets got Robert Covington, a solid 3-and-D player who's been doing his thing, but he was also rotting away in Minnesota. But even so, he's not more valuable than Capella. The issue is that, what's their goal this year? Is it to still win the championship? They're committed to both Harden and Westbrook in the long term, as they both have massive contracts. But how can they fix the holes in their team now? Are they gonna play PJ Tucker at center even more often? Will they find some players overseas? I don't know, but maybe we shouldn't doubt Morey. He's made moves before that we thought were bad, but it turned out better than expected. The Philadelphia 76ers, winner. There's been some issues with this team. Even Al Horford admitted that there's been some drama in the locker room, some internal issues that they need to fix. The Sixers have been hovering around the 5 and 6 seed for almost the entire season, which is a huge underachievement compared to their previous years. Guys like Joel Embiid has publicly stated that this team has no identity because they got no spacing whatsoever. However, they did try to fix this by the deadline. They gave up 3 future second-round picks to the Warriors in exchange for Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson III. Both of whom are shooting very well from 3 this year. They're not known to be exceptional 3-point shooters, but this season they're both having a career high in volume. Robinson has been hitting 40% of his threes and Burks has been hitting 38%. Now, I don't think this trade will immediately solve the Sixers' problems, but they do provide a great help to their current dilemma. The Golden State Warriors, neutral. Initially, my immediate reaction was that the Warriors lost this deadline. Now they're stuck with Wiggins' massive contract until 2023, and it'll be hard to move him. Even though Wiggins started off the season strong, he drastically slowed down and returned back to the Wiggins we all know and love. When you think about it, the Warriors' entire 2019-20 season doesn't even matter. Both Wiggins and Russell have contracts that go until 2023. But the Warriors are expecting Klay and Steph to return eventually. Once they come back, Russell is not gonna start over either of them, so it's pointless to have him come off the bench while making $30 million a year. With Wiggins, who's also making around $30 million, at least everyone on the team can play their natural positions. With Steph and Klay at the 2-guard spots and Wiggins at his usual small forward spot. I don't think it's a win or a loss. We'll have to wait and see how this team looks when everyone comes back. The Detroit Pistons. Loser. We all saw this coming. The team was tired of him, the fans were tired of watching him, Andre Drummond was gonna be gone eventually. Whether it was this year or next year if he opted in to his player option. In return, the Pistons received essentially nothing. I mean, John Henson, Brandon Knight, neither of them played that much, but hey, it's the return of Brandon Knight. I know Drummond could potentially be on the last year of his contract if he doesn't take his player option, but to get this little in return for the 3-time rebound leader, a 2-time All-Star, he developed a new passing ability that we haven't seen in his early days, and he's still only 26 years old. It's kinda ridiculous. The Pistons might as well have given him away for free. According to Drummond's tweet, the Pistons just traded him out of nowhere without giving him a heads up, despite him being there for 8 years. On the other hand, I wouldn't say the Cavs won the trade either. I mean, if Drummond is gone by the end of the season, they essentially didn't get anything. So overall, this trade had very little impact, and at this point, Drummond is not gonna lead the Cavs to the playoffs. It's a very unimpactful trade. The Atlanta Hawks. Winner. The Hawks were the most active team at the deadline. I think part of it is because the front office wants to show Trae Young, their budding superstar, that they want to help him win. And they want to surround him with better players. That's why they got Clint Capella, that's why they got back Dwayne Dedmon, who was just recently on the Hawks and had the best years of his career, even reforming himself into a decent 3-point shooter. Add on another 2 second-round picks to that and the Hawks are just hoarding assets. Capella is also secured until 2023, so the Hawks have a few years to observe the chemistry between him and Trae. And hopefully, they'll make it back to the playoffs in the near future. On the other hand, the Kings received Jabari Parker and Alex Len. Parker's been ridiculously inconsistent for the Hawks and also got injured. But maybe he'll do better on a new team again, even though we've said that for every time he's gotten traded so far. The Clippers, Knicks, and Wizards. They made a 3-team trade that saw Marcus Morris and Isaiah Thomas head to the Clippers. Isaiah would shortly be waived. The Wizards receive Brock from the Clippers. The Knicks receive Mo Harkless from the Clippers along with 3 future picks. I'd say all of these teams came out fairly well. I'd say they're all winners. The Knicks surprisingly did decently well. They even fired the team's president, Steve Mills, which might have been the highlight of their season. But too bad they can't fire their owner. The Wizards got a young guy in Jerome Robinson who struggled in LA, but maybe now he can get more chances to improve. Marcus Morris has been having a career season, and the Clippers got him because they want to make a huge playoff push. The Minnesota Timberwolves. Winners. They paired up D'Angelo Russell with his longtime friend, Cat, so we should see some good chemistry. Despite Wiggins having a solid season, it was time to move on, and maybe some fresh new faces will reignite the team. In another separate deal with the Nuggets, the Wolves also received Malik Beasley. Now, I was pretty high on Beasley a year ago. He was one of Denver's rising young prospects, but now he's slowly lost playing time, and the Nuggets don't need him anymore. I think he'll be a great fit in Minnesota as they also have a high-paced offense. In addition, the Wolves received a bunch of throw-in players and even a 2020 first-round pick from Brooklyn. I think they did well. And finally, the Denver Nuggets. Winners. The Nuggets were kinda standing to the side for most of the deadline, but they did make a minor move that could be very good for the team. As I mentioned, they gave up Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, and Juancho Hernan-Gomez, but all of them were seeing their minutes steadily decrease anyway. In return, they received Gerald Green, Jordan McRae, and a bunch of young players to make up for it, along with the Rockets' 2020 first-round pick, which will probably fall in the early to mid-20s. Not all of their new players will get minutes, some of them might get waived, but the Nuggets were not gonna re-sign Beasley to an extension or anything. So they got a good amount of value for a bunch of players who are not a huge part of their rotation. Anyway, that's all folks. Those were all the winners, the losers, the neutral teams. It was a pretty quiet deadline compared to previous years, nothing too exciting. But I think a lot of teams came out of it really well. We didn't see many huge losers. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on this deadline and which trades do you think are underrated. Let me know in the comments. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.